Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Twameva Mata Sapita Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva Vidya Dravidam Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So where are we in our text?
Chapter 18, verse 14, I believe. Shrutanumana janmano samanya vishayo yataha pratyayavakshajo vashyam visheshartho nivarayet. Perceptual knowledge, which has for its objects particular properties of things, does surely contradict that which arises from hearsay and inference, and which is related only to generic properties of things.
So the point that he's getting at here is the invalidity of sense perception and even things like inference, etc., I would say, to deliver reality. We've all heard stories about going to a court and hearing various eyewitnesses to an event. And it can seem like they see different things, how our memories fail us. Not only that, what we directly see contradicts what we may know even about the phenomenal world. Classic things. Train tracks meeting in the distance. It's not true. It's not real. A ship falling off the edge of the world as it goes beyond the horizon. Seen, but not real. So here what Shankara is driving at is sense perception is not a test of reality. Inference can help, but not always. For example, I live here by Lake Merritt. If I decide to go outside and I'm looking up at the Oakland Hills and all of a sudden I see smoke arising in the hills, I might infer, oh my gosh, there's a fire in the Oakland Hills. So it may be true, may not be true. So, what is our test of what is truly real? That which is absolutely verifiable, which is known without any doubt, which is never subject to negation. Vedanta thunders only awareness itself is never subject to negation. So those of us who studied Mandukya Upanishad with the Gaudapada Karika, the fourth Karika in the second chapter, basically says the phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is that you can see it. We see all the things in a dream, yet upon awakening, they're determined to not be real. They were experienced. We never say that we don't experience them, but they're not substantial, they're not real. But the knower is directly known, not as a cognized object, and it's always there. Next verse.
There are two together. Vakyartha pratyadi kaschin nirdukho nopalabhyate yadi va drishyate kaschid vakyartha shruti matratah nirdukho titadeheshu kritabhavo numiyate charya no shastra samvedya sadhanishtam tatha sati. No one is seen freed from the distress of this transmigratory existence simply by understanding the meaning of the sentence. If, however, a rare man is seen to be freed from such distress on the mere hearing of it, he must be inferred to have practiced repetition in previous lives. Moreover, our conduct will have to be regarded as non-scriptural if you do not admit the existence of an injunction in this case, but that is not desirable.
So here, the jnana abhyasa that we talked about last week, the practice of knowledge. So if a person simply hears the scriptural injunctions, that's indirect knowledge. That in itself doesn't free us. There are rare people who, upon hearing it, drop all their false identifications. Mind turns within, and they have deep and profound nirvikalpa samadhi. When the mind returns, they see aham brahmasmi. Shankara says it's because of the fruit of jnana abhyasa practice in previous life. So in Gita, Krishna said, Arjuna asks, What happens if I practice and practice and practice and I don't realize my self nature in this lifetime? And Krishna answers, can't take your money with you, can't take your relations with you, can't take your house with you, can't take anything with you, but you do take your yoga with you. And in your next life, you will be born into a family where you get spiritual sanskaras early in life, and soon you are reunited with your prior knowledge and you finish the job. So we look at people like Ramana Maharshi, who seem to spontaneously realize at age 16 what Shankara is saying. But what was his prior life? Very close, not quite. The point is, and I like to stress this, nobody is left behind. Vedanta is the most compassionate of all religions. No one is left out. No one is left behind. Everyone comes home to God. Nobody fails. Even Hitler, even Donald Trump. Yes. In time. So the person of knowledge no longer needs to practice injunctions or mantras or things like that. I like to say the woman of knowledge is out of control. She's given up. But that doesn't mean to say the way to freedom is to stop practicing and give up control. It's a paradox. Our mumukshutva, our desire for liberation, our practice, is the stick we use to stir the funeral pyre that emulates our ego. Now, in the end, we throw the stick on. At the end, if you throw the stick on the fire too soon, then that corpse of an ego sit up, look right in the face. Next verse.
Sadasiti phalam choktva vidyayam sadhanam yataha na tadanyat prasankhya nat prasiddharthamiheshyate. Just as everywhere in the Vedas, the means to an end is enjoined after stating the result to be achieved, so here the result, thou art that, is stated, and the means can be nothing but this repetition, which only is regarded as being capable of revealing an eternally existing thing.
So, what is the end result? You are Brahman, thou art that. And when he says here the repetition, it doesn't mean tatvamasi, 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 tatvamasi. No, that's just a vain waste of speech. It means the practice that's involved. What is the practice? Viveka Vairagya cha. the firm conviction in the intellect that Brahman alone, the self alone, is real, and Jagat, the phenomenal world, is illusory. This is Vivek. Two ways to practice it. Neti, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the ego, not a person. I'm that witnessing consciousness. And this phenomenal world of name and form, gross and subtle, is mithya, illusion. What's real? Then vairagya, to get firmly established in this. Desire to give up my attachment. All experiences gained through the senses and all form of self. Those two are the two wings that take the Hansa on the flight to the infinite. So this is the practice of the injunction Tattvamasi. It's known as the Upadesha Mahavakya, the instructional great utterance, great saying. So we don't want to be satisfied with just a glimpse. Be a full knower of the Supreme, meaning you are sthita prajna under all circumstances. Never forget yourself and retire into the Supreme. Drown the mind in Brahman, immerse the mind in the self. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Tasmad nubhavayeva prasanchakshita yatnataha Dejansa Penat Satya Viruddham Shamanadiman. Therefore, practicing self-control, etc., and renouncing everything incompatible with this end and the means to it, one should carefully practice the said repetition in order directly to know the self.
So, what is the simple way to practice this repetition? I like the way Ramana Maharshi framed it, with his simple practice of koham. Who am I? When a perception occurs, especially one that may agitate us, to whom did this occur? To me. Who am I? Turn the mind back upon the self. When a feeling or a thought or a memory occurs, to whom did this occur? To me. Who am I? This constant remembrance to discriminate between the false self, this chaya, this shadow self, and then grounded me over and over and over. And then another student, reframe that practice in a way that I just love, as well as who am I? Who cares? I'm upset today. Who cares? Oh, that's my stupid mind. It's not me. Next verse.
नेतदेवं रहस्यानां नेति वसानतः क्रियासाध्यं पुरा श्राव्यं न मोक्षो सिद्धतः. Reply: this is not so, for the Upanishads end with not this, and deal with nothing else. Results to be achieved by means of actions are heard of in the previous part of the Vedas, but not liberation, which has an eternal existence and is not achievable by means of any action.
Okay, I misunderstood where we were. So this was the objector saying, you've got to keep practicing. You've got to keep practicing. And the reply here is no, in the sense that it's not about what we call mirror wiping. What is mirror wiping? So I go into the mirror and the mirror is covered with steam, so I wipe the mirror so I can see my face. I've got to have high beam eyeballs and keep my grip silent all the time. Here Shankara is saying, in the beginning, maybe, we do these practices of mental control. But in the end, as we mature in our practice, quit believing the mind. Then we give up needing to grip the mind. Just like once I've seen my face in the mirror, I don't have to carry a pocket mirror with me to make sure my face doesn't fall off. When have you ever known? So it all depends on where in our sadhana we are at. How do I know where I am in my sadhana? I'll give you my opinion. If you still have doubts, keep doing practice. When the mind no longer throws up doubt, and there is a stage where perhaps the residual of the mind may throw up the remnant of a doubt, but you see it for what it is. Oh, that's just a stupid doubt. Next verse.
Putra dukkham yathatyastam pitra dukkhe swa atmani ahankarta tathathyasto nitya dukkhe swa atmani. Just as the distress experienced by one's son is superimposed by the father on himself, who has no distress at all, so the ego is superimposed on the self, which is eternally free from any pain whatsoever.
So this happens so frequently. A parent has a rascal for a child. Oh, I don't like who my daughter is dating. Oh, my son, he's off doing drugs. And we as parents then are distressed when actually nothing's happening to us. But it's our attachment to the child that makes us take on the distress of the child. So also, what happens to the ego when the situation is conducive, happy? When the situation is non-conducive, unhappy? All determined by the force of the past. It's so mechanical. Have no relationship with it. Get out. Next verse.
सोऽध्यासो नेति नेतीति प्राप्तवत् प्रतिशिष्यते भूयोऽध्यासा विधि कश्चित् कुतश्चिन्नोपपद्यते. This superimposition of the ego on the self is negated on the evidence of the Shruti, not this, as if it were a reality. And hence, no injunctions, which are all due to superimposition, can by any means be reasonable after such a negation has taken place.
So, neti, na iti, not this. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone is real. Jagan, the entire phenomenal world. Individually, my body, mind, intellect, ego, even ignorance, and macrocosmically, all phenomena, the total mind, and the total vasana. Mithya. Imagined in consciousness because of the mysterious power of Maya. But anitya, not real. Grandi, false. Next verse.
Atmaniha tathadyasa pratishetha statheva cha maladhyasani shedhokhe kriyate cha yatha buddheha. Just as color is superimposed on and negated from the sky by ignorant people, so there are the superimposition of the ego on the self and its negation from it.
So the idea that the bowl of the sky is painted blue. So I go up on top of the mountain and I'm looking for the blue that I saw down on the plain. It's not there. The blue color of the sky is an optical illusion created by the refraction of light in the atmosphere. Seen but not real. So also, all forms of a personal sense of self. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Ego will always say, resolve the struggle of ego. That person has to go from point A to point B. And this can get very subtle. I was having a discussion with a person this morning, the Sufi. They were talking about in their tradition, they talk about state versus station, a person who's had an experience as opposed to a person who's established and, glows or whatever. And all of this can be problematic. Let others have their opinions. You know you're not a person. Be rooted in that knowledge. Give up even concerns about what's my spiritual state. Am I here or am I there? Next one.
प्राप्तश्चेत प्रतिष्ठित्येत मोक्षो नित्यो भवेत् ध्रुवम् अतो प्राप्त निषेधोऽन्यम् दिव्यग्नि चयनादिवत्. This negation is not one of a reality, but is of a false superimposition, only like the prohibition of the placing of fire on the highest region of the sky. For liberation would have surely been transitory if things really existing were negated.
Yes. So the idea here is what we're negating, what we're denying, stuff that isn't really there. We're not denying real things. Again, if my spiritual ignorance, if the phenomenal world were actually real, then whatever liberation could be achieved in that would be lost. Your liberation is permanent. Meaning, the self in you was never bound in the first place. All mind states, without exception, going on.
संभाव्यो गोचरे शब्दः प्रत्ययो वा न चान्यथा न संभाव्यो तदात्मत्वात् हंकर्तुस्तेव च. It is only to objects of knowledge and not to non-objects that a word or an idea can be applied. Brahman, which is the self of them and also of the ego, is not within the scope of a word or an idea.
So here he's talking just about grammar stuff. That we tend to have a word which then is descriptive of a thing. Chair, table, lamp. Objects. I can also say there is no lamp on this table. There is a lamp on that table. So I can use the word to describe that something is not there. But even though we say the word Brahman, it does not refer to an object. I'm not going to see Brahman go by. Yet, the material cause of all the name and form is Brahman itself. But I won't see it like I see an object. What's Brahman look like? Well, he's very tall. He has a long beard. So I'm waiting to see Brahman in the table. I don't see a very tall person with a beard yet. It doesn't happen like that. Brahman does not refer to an inherent object of cognition, even though all names and forms are nothing but Brahman. When I wake up and I realize the objects of the dream were just the creation of my mind, I'm not going, oh, so the dream car and the dream body, they disappeared, and what I saw was a big M because it was mine. No. It's a deep and profound awareness. Don't worry about seeing Brahman. Spend your energy on negating the reality of the names and forms. And Brahman will be revealed. Going on.
Ahankartratmani nasyat nyastam chaitanye kartritadit neti neti ti tat sarvam sahankarta nishidhyate. Everything such as agency, etc., superimposed by the ego on the self, which is pure consciousness, is negated together with the ego on the evidence of the Shruti, not this, not this.
Yes. So some philosophical or spiritual schools will posit that the self has the capacity to will. The Sankhya's kind of go there. Certainly Christianity does. The soul has the capacity of will. Me, see, I can choose this, I do not choose that. Here, Shankara says, stay with this simple practice. Subject, object discrimination. If it is knowable in the world of phenomena, if it's a physical object, if it's energy, if it's feeling, if it's a thought, even if it's an ego thought, I am this, I am that. And even if it's the darkness of ignorance itself, that's not it. That's not me. What is real? Aham, which is never known as an object. It's the eternal subject. not knowable as an object, yet not unknown. It's self-evident. Next one.
Upalabdhi Swayam Jyoti Drishi Pratyaksata Kriyaha Sakshat Arvanantaraha Sakshi Cheta Nityo Gunotvaya. The self is then known to be intelligence, self-effulgent, a seer, the innermost, existence, free from actions, directly cognized, the self of all, the witness, one imparting consciousness to others, eternal, devoid of qualities and without a second.
So now this is a meditation verse that asserts the nature of the self. We've denied what the self is not. So let's take each one of these ideas. What's the first one?
Intelligence.
Here, meaning it is awareness, it is sentience. It is Baba, being, consciousness. It's not inert, it's not zero, it's not jada. We will use words like shunya or shunyata, which means empty. But that means it is empty like space and vast. No thing is there, but it is purnam, full of being. Next idea.
Self-effulgent.
How do I know the self? I do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, feel, or think myself. And it's not knowable, but I know I am. How do I know it? I don't know, I just know it. The self is its own means of knowledge. The world is known through the triple factor, knower, knowing, and known. I, Jim, through seeing, cognize, table. Triple factor. How do I know me? There's no triple factor. I know it. I is the means of knowledge. I is that which is known, but not as an object. It is Swayam Jyoti, self-effulgent, self-luminous, self-known. Next idea.
A seer.
Yes. So it is the knower, the seer, when it shines through the equipment. It is the seer of all things seen. It is the hearer of all things heard. It is the knower of feelings. It is the knower of thoughts. It is the illuminator of all phenomena. Next idea.
The innermost.
Closer than hand or foot. Closer than your breath. Closer than your innermost secret, private thought. It's my very self. Next idea.
Existence.
It isn't zero. It is. Sat, it exists. Bhav, it has being. Next idea.
Free from actions.
It is the knower of the movement of the body, the movement of the mind, the movement of the intellect. But itself never moves. The term we've been getting in Panchadashi, Udasta, still like a mound. Stands, stop. I watch everything go by, but I go nowhere. Next one.
Directly cognized.
Yes. So someone comes and says, "Oh, Jim, I want to study Vedanta so I can know myself." God bless you. What you said is an absurdity. It's like on a worldly level, someone coming and saying, "Oh, Jim, I want to have a human body." What kind of body do you think you have now? I don't know. Maybe a goat or a cow or a horse or a pig, but I want to have a human body. You already have a human body. It's an absurdity. When are you ever not? My problem is adhyasa, superimposition, on that eternal, beginningless, constant experience. I superimpose all sorts of silliness. That's my only real problem. Stop it. Next idea.
The self of all.
Yes. So Aditi is here on the couch. She sees the world from her viewpoint. I see it from my viewpoint. She's aware of her body. I'm aware of my body. She's aware of her feelings. I'm aware of my feelings. She's aware of her thoughts. I'm aware of my thoughts. But the self in her that illumines all that is witnessing consciousness. Self in me is not like the self in her. The self in me is self. Next idea.
The witness.
Yes. The knower of everything. We in the beginning say, okay, practice Sakshi Bhava, take on the attitude of the witness. Well, actually, you can't become a witness. All you can do is begin to notice that you have always been a witness. You pay attention to the fact that all phenomena is knowable. I'm noticing that's next idea.
One imparting consciousness to others.
Yes. So I look over there and I see Aditi. She's so lovely. And she's talented and she's smart. It is my awareness over her over there that actually imbues that sense that there's another being over there who's conscious. The truth is, her body, mind, intellect is jada. It's inert. And there's no place where conscious being stops and the conscious being of Aditi starts. That's a loser. 2 feet in front of your nose, there's Brahman. Next idea.
Eternal.
Yes. And again, eternal is different than Puranam or Sanatana. Those 2 words mean ancient, really, really old. It's that too. But Nityam means eternal, in the eternal now. I am illuminating this incredibly intense world of name and form. And it shifts, and there's a new now. I is there. Next idea.
Devoid of qualities.
The world has qualities, but I has none. No form, no qualities, no characteristic, no edges. Chid Akasha, the vast, empty space. Next idea.
Without a second.
There seems like 2. I see stuff. But what appears as stuff is imagination. Just like when I look in the mirror in the bathroom, there's mirror plus my face. No, there's just mirror. I bring out the crystal ball and it looks like there's images in the crystal ball. No, it's all just stone. So it looks like Dvaita too. I see stuff. Scriptures thunders. No. Advaita. Not two. Ekam. One existence. Is that the last idea?
Yes.
Next one.
Sannidho sarvada tasya sat tadnabho himanakrit atmat miyam tvayam chatah sadaham magocharaha. On account of the constant proximity of the conscious self, the ego also appears to be conscious. Hence, the 2 things, specifically oneself and things related to oneself that are denoted by the words I and mine, originate.
Yes. So, the ego, the ahankriti, ahankara, is very close to the sun. And so it borrows a luminosity, as it were. Again, the clearest example I have is when I turn on the lamp, the LED lights, and I bring out the little mirror and I can shine it in people's face. And the question is then, is there a light in the mirror? Is there? Kind of yes and kind of no. If I turn the mirror away from the lamp, there's no light in the mirror. If I hold it up so it reflects, there's a light in the mirror. Is there a light in the mirror or not? No. It's the quality, the nature of the mirror to reflect the self, reflect the light, I mean. So also, another name for ego is ch18. A shadow self, a reflected self. Pratibimba. Bimba is a mirror. Pratibimba is a reflection. Experientially, it seems to me, when I don't turn inward, that I am a person. That's the strangest thing about it. Ego only appears to exist when you don't see it. It's bizarre. When the mind is turned outward to things, to feelings, to thoughts, an assumed self appears to arise. I see the car. I hear the music. I feel sad. I am so confused. I am certain about this. That only appears to exist when the attention is focused on stuff. But if, on the other hand, I introvert the attentive faculty and go looking for that Jim or Aditi or Mark or David, it falls. There's nothing there. Oh, I lied. There is something there. It's just not Jim. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivo. I am a performance consciousness. Shiva. Auspiciousness. Satchidananda Rupa. A form of pure existence, pure consciousness, and bliss absolute. Very strange. Don't believe me? Next verse.
Jati karmadim dimattati tasmin shabdasta ham kriti na kaschid dvartate shabdas tadbhavatsva atmani. As the ego is possessed of species, actions, etc., words are applicable to it, but no word can be used with respect to the innermost self owing to the absence of these from it.
Yes. So I can say I am tall, I am short, I am old, I am young, I am male, I am female. I'm successful, I'm a failure. I'm a yogi, I'm a worldly person. I'm smart, I'm stupid. I'm successful, I'm a failure. all those descriptive words refer to aham, the manufactured self. I mean, ahamkara, ahamkriti is a fabulous word. Comes from the root kri, to make or to do. We can call it a manufactured self, a constructed self, a made self. That's what the word literally means. It's so clear in the Sanskrit. But who am I? Or again, as Mandukya says, of the Upadesham. A Upadesha. Upadesha means to talk about things. A means whatever we say about the self at best points. It never defines. It is untalkable. I have a new friend whose family have been devotees of the early 20th century saint Meher Baba. Haven't heard about him in decades. He was born a Zoroastrian in India, Parsi, but had a Sufi master. He was a disciple of Shirdi Sai Baba for a while. And in his mid-30s, he took a vow of silence. He never spoke again for 44 years. Vast majority of his teaching is done inside. Okay, one more.
There are two together.
Okay, two more.
Abhaso yatra tatreva shabda pratya pratyagdisham sthitaha laksheya yurna sakshatma hitatyu katachana Nahya Jatyadiman Man Kashchit Artha Shabder Nirupyate. Words which denote the ego and the other things which reflect the innermost self express the latter only indirectly and by no means describe it directly. For nothing that has no species, etc., can be described by means of words.
So he said the same thing that I said. Words fall short. They do not go there. The Upanishad even uses that. Speech came back, could not know the self. And this is also advice. I'm thinking of a student I have who writes very well and has gotten into discussions which can verge on arguments on social media. Nothing wrong. In fact, Swamiji invited us to form study groups before there was a Chinmaya Mission Center in an area. Go through the scriptures and discuss it. Basically passing around our ignorance. But in wrestling with the ideas, we get a deeper understanding. But in the end, achintya, it's unthinkable. Yet directly no. Okay, we'll quit here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Namaha. Hari